welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a fun video and it's going to be a book haul. I have not done an official book haul for quite a while. Actually, I think the first time I really did one was in the beginning of my channel career, which yeah, I feel like it's time to just have a separate video devoted to the new books that I have accumulated within the past month or so. And a lot of these are used books. I feel like today's like the perfect bookish day because it's really rainy outside, it's dreary, and I just feel like it's a perfect way for me to start talking about all the books I have right now and all the books I have in my clutches. So I'm just so excited to share this with you. And a lot of these are new, or some of them are new and some of them are used, which I actually really love and adore. I love to use books. So I really hope you guys like this video. And also I'm sitting on my knees, so I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to uphold myself on this the video, so you might see me kind of squirming around a lot because if I sit down I feel like I'm pretty low, so we'll see how well I do. But without further ado, let's just get started into this video. So the first book, which I am currently reading, is Six of Crows, and I'm so excited to have this. It's by Leigh Bardugo, and it's pretty much, as I'm reading this, I'm super obsessed and upset at myself that I haven't started this book sooner because I'm actually loving it so much. And I just got this recently. This is the most recent book I've actually just recently gotten. I went to the bookstore one day after work and I went to Barnes & Noble, and surprisingly it's not that expensive there. It's like $11. So, and it's just a paperback edition, which now that I know I love this book, I do want a special edition of this book. But I love it. I love it so much. And I've been wanting to read like the Grishaverse book series for such a long time. And it's pretty much just a really badass group involved in a really complex heist, and it kind of gives me like Ocean's vibes, except a little bit more assassin based and fantasy world based, which I'm absolutely loving. And I actually found a playlist that I've been playing like in the background while I'm reading this book, and it's just such a good book, and I'm so happy I have a copy of my own. And yeah, so this one was a new book. I just picked it up one day after work at Barnes & Noble, and I love little after work Barnes & Noble's days. I always just feel like they're always just a nice way to end your work shift, and I have no regrets getting this. I'm obsessed, and now I feel like I have to get Crooked Kingdom because I'm absolutely loving this whole world. So I'm gonna put these books on like a little stool next to me, so because I have a thing about, like, I'm such a perfectionist when it comes to my books, and I want to keep everything in top tier condition. And the next book that I got is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, and I have already talked about this book in a recent video. I think it's my TBR video for February, but I did just pick this up recently and it's brand new and I absolutely love it. So if you're curious to see what's underneath the dust jacket, it's like a gold foiling with a typewriter, and I like that so much. I like it how it's not too complex and it's really minimal, but it's super cute to me. And I love the dust jacket. Like I don't know if these are flowers, I don't know, I love everything about this like cover. But it's about two journalists who I believe are rivals in the journalist world, and she ends up writing these letters thinking that it's to her brother, but it's actually to him, I believe, and it's a romance to lovers, or supposedly. So also, I'm sorry I'm really low now. It's because my feet are starting to hurt, so I'm sitting low. But I'm really excited to dive into this. I have been wanting to read this for quite a while, and I think her second one just came out, so I'm excited to have my hands on this one. And this one was actually really cheap as well. And I think I got this one on Amazon, which was like $11 as well. I feel like $11 is a good price for a book, so I don't really feel guilty about like $11. But I'm excited to get this, and I also am excited to get the second one because the second one I think is like a white dust jacket with baby blue flowers printed on it. I just think that looks so cute together on the bookshelf, and it'd be like a nice contrast. So I'm excited to have this one as well. Now, the next book I got is The Beautiful by Renee Audier, and I've heard about this book from a few booktubers. I don't think this book is fairly new, but I pretty much wanted this because it's like I think it's like a paranormal type of world book, and it's in 1872 in New Orleans, which I feel like that setting just sounds like the perfect ambiance to read for possibly October. So I'm gonna save this for like spooky time, and I think it has to do with a serial killer, or oh yeah, it has to do with like a murderer within the city, and I believe vampires. I could be totally off, but the whole synopsis just sounded so interesting. Hold on, let me just briefly read it so I can run it down for you guys. Oh, so it takes place in 1872 within New Orleans, and our main character is Celine, I believe that's her name. Celine Rocio. She ends up being, I guess, abducted during a carnival season, which I find that to be so fascinating. And, well, not to be kidnapped during a carnival season, or not even kidnapped at all, like that's not fascinating, but in a plot setting, that just sounds like the whole carnival setting within New Orleans in 1870s. I just feel like that just sounds like a really cool setting to read about. And I guess she gets kidnapped and becomes or witnesses the underworld, where there's also like a murder going on, and the whole city is like freaking out. And I'm not great at explaining the synopsis, but that's kind of the gist of it, which I already feel like that's the perfect spooky season book to read. So that's kind of why I picked it up. Also, this book I picked up at a bookstore with one of my friends. We had like a little bookstore coffee shop hangout, and I was catching up with her, and I actually found this book for $6 there, which I love supporting small bookstores and small used bookstores. And for this being a used book, it's in great condition. And if I can possibly just donate my money to that place, I'm totally up for it, because it's a used bookstore and it was really cute. Like there's a bunch of like cat themed things within it. It's like a really cute aesthetic, and I feel like it was just worth it. It was just a great memory. Anytime I get a book at a place like that, I just feel like it's such a great memory. So I'm really excited to pick this up, and I cannot wait. I'm saving this for that time of year. Okay, so the last 4 books I actually picked up at like my favorite used bookstore where I live locally, and I get a lot of my used books from there. I absolutely love this place so much, and yeah, I just feel like every time I go in there I always find great books, and I am so excited to share these finds with you guys. I got really lucky one day after work, and I went there and I just had a blast like finding all these like great books. I did not expect to find all these nice books, and it's actually really exciting because 2 of these books I've been wanting to read for such a long time, and I'm really shocked I even found it there. So with the first one I wanted to talk about is something I've been wanting to pick up, and this is actually like a monumental book, but it's Stephen King's Salems Lot, and I've been wanting to read one of his books for the longest time. I know that his book is more of like a complex type of writing style, and they're a lot older, but I feel like Salems Lot is something I've heard from multiple other booktubers that they liked within his stories and within his books. So I feel like that's such a good book for me to pick up during the spooky season, and I feel like my TBR for that time of year is already pretty much planned out, because now that I have The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh and then Stephen King's, I'm just so excited to pick these up. And this one was really cheap. It was only $6. I know it's not like his classic, you know, books, but I am still really excited because I'm just happy I have my very first Stephen King book on my bookshelf, and it wasn't crazy expensive. They did have like the nice white cover edition of it, and I really would love it, but I'm not trying to spend all that much money right now on one book. But I'm just happy I have one of his books within my clutches, and I am excited to read this. And I don't know, I love stories like that. Like I love spooky classic stories, and I guess I'll just briefly run through the synopsis. Ben Mears has returned to Salems Lot in hopes that exploring the history of Marston House, an old mansion long the subject of rumor and speculation, will help him cast out his personal devils and provide inspiration for his new book. But when 2 young boys venture into the woods and only one returns alive, Mears begins to realize that something sinister is at work. In fact, his hometown is under siege from the forces of darkness, and only he, with a small group of allies, can hope to contain the evil that is growing within the borders of this small New England town. But I'm just really excited. I just feel like I know I don't like to compare movies to books, but I loved and absolutely loved the like plot and setting of it, and I feel like this kind of will give me the same type of vibe, and I'm just so excited to jump into this. And this is for sure going to be on my spooky season TBR, so I cannot wait to have this read and to see what I think of it. I kind of skimmed through it, and the writing doesn't look too complex. I feel like I could actually get into it, because I was briefly trying to see if it was something that might be a little bit too complex, like a classic. I know that sometimes those are hard to kind of get into sometimes, but this seemed fairly simple, so fingers crossed. But regardless or not, I'm just so happy I have a copy of one of his books on my shelf, and then if I love it and add fans to it, then I wouldn't mind getting a special edition. Now the next one I have been wanting to read for a long time, and I'm so shocked they had this because it's used, but it's in great condition, and I've been wanting to read the second one forever. I actually just made a TBR video about reading the second one, and it's Heartstopper Volume 2. I was so shocked. I was actually about to check out, and right where the checkout part is, like the checkout lane is, there is like a bunch of graphic novels. I just briefly skimmed through it because there's a lot of graphic novels I've been wanting to read, and I was so shocked they had this one. They actually didn't have 3, I think. I think they had the next one. They didn't have the next one, which if they did, I probably would have picked that up too, but they only had the first one and the fourth one, which I feel like I should wait till I read the second one to get the third one and the fourth one. But regardless or not, I'm just so happy. And this book was only $8 compared to, I think it's like 11, but still just saving a few bucks didn't make me feel as guilty. And plus, like, it's going towards a bookstore I absolutely love and adore. And I'm just so excited because I have been wanting to read this for my February TBR, and I was just, the book gods just came in clutch because they literally were like, oh, you want to read this book? Got you. I got you. And then I found it. I was just so shocked. I felt kind of guilty taking it because I'm sure someone else would be so excited to get it, but I just could not leave without it. And it's in great condition. Like, none of it is bent or anything, and I'm just so excited. I love the first one. I'm so happy to have a second one in my collection, and I just was so shocked. I've been wanting to read this for the longest time, and I finally have my own. So the next book I actually picked up was Three Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake. I hope I'm not saying the name wrong, but this, I heard I think a couple booktubers talk about this book like in one of their videos, and I never really paid mind to it until I saw it at the bookstore that I was getting some books at. And I read the plot of it, and it's about 3 sisters. They all have their own special abilities, and it's about a fight amongst each of them to get, I believe, the crown. I may be wrong, but the whole concept of it just sounds so interesting, especially because each of their abilities sounds really, really cool. So Mirabella is an elemental able to spark hungry flames or vicious storms at the snap of her fingers. Catherine is a poisoner, and Arsino, I think that's how you say it, is a naturalist. It's said to have the ability to bloom the reddest rose and control the fiercest of lions, which I think hers is really, really cool. And I just feel like that's gonna be such a cool concept. I think this is like a fantasy-based book, so I'm super excited to pick it up. And the whole synopsis of it just sounded so intriguing to me. And yeah, this book was only $4 too, so I had no problem picking it up. That's so cheap. It was $3.99. So that, like, without a thought, I just picked it up, and I'm really happy. And you can just tell it's like in brand new condition. Like, this is probably the same condition you'd probably get at Target. I was so lucky. And then the last book I got at that bookstore is something I've been wanting to read for such a long time, and I just recently had like this urge to pick it up, and it's so crazy because I did not expect to find this book here. It's like an OG book that you hear about all the time, and it's Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. Yeah, I was so shocked I found this, and it was only $5.99. It's in great condition, and I've been wanting to pick this up. Like, I've been thinking about it because it just sounded so fascinating to me, like the whole world system and just how her writing style is. It's supposed to be like really like a dream-like type of writing style, and I believe like her writing style is like what everybody loves so much. So I'm so excited to see. I've never read one of her books, but I'm so excited to see how I'm gonna feel about it. And I'm just excited to even have a copy of my own, because I feel like this is a book that you always hear about and you always, like, someone has at least read once. So I'm a little ashamed to admit that I haven't read it, but I'm super stoked to see my thoughts on it. And the whole writing style and like her whole dream-like type of setting, that just sounds so fun to me and so cool. So I really am excited. I don't know how many times I'm gonna say I'm excited, but I'm just super excited. Yeah, and it was a steal, $5.99. It was at the top part of the bookshelf too, so I had to like climb on the little stool to get up to where I needed. But I'm so happy I got it, and I just got really lucky at that bookstore. Sometimes when I go there, a lot of times I do find at least one book, but I did not expect to find 4 books. So of course, you know, I kind of broke the bank a little bit, but it's totally worth it because they're used, so, you know, girl math, you don't feel so guilty. And then the last book I did get, and I had like a remaining Amazon gift card, and I just decided that, you know what, I think it's time that I get my own copies of these because I'm absolutely obsessed with this series. I still have yet to read the 3rd one, but I know I'm gonna love it. Like, I don't even need to read to know I'm gonna love it, and I'm obsessed with this whole freaking world. It's one of my most favorite series ever, and it's The Cruel Prince. I had a like leftover balance on one of my gift cards on Amazon for my birthday, so I decided to just use the rest of it. And I was debating on when to use it because I was trying to wait for like a special time, and I was just like, you know what, I had this like really big urge to read The Queen of Nothing. Like while I was reading the Caraval series, I feel like nothing else I wanted to read after that was, I just wanted to at least read The Queen of Nothing. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get it. I'm gonna just purchase it, and it's the best decision ever. And I'm just so freaking excited to have a copy of my own. I've been wanting to get this, and like it's a hardcover too, for the longest time. So I don't feel so guilty because I did use my gift card, so I don't feel as guilty about that. But I'm just so excited to have a copy of it, and I'll show you like one of the copies. They have, I can't get it out. So like underneath the dust jackets, there's like a little bit of foiling, and like it's really minimal, but the details of it are just so pretty to me. So obviously you have like the dust jacket of the books, and then you'll have like the little minimal detail foiling underneath, and I just find it so pretty. I'm just so happy. I'm super happy to have a copy of my own. I do for sure want to do a reread of this whole series this year, and I am yet to still pick up The Queen of Nothing, but I already know I'm gonna love it. I absolutely love the characters in these books. I love the whole setting, the whole plot of it. I love everything about these books. So I'm just so excited to have a copy of my own, and I'm so happy I just decided to take the plunge and just get it, because I was like, what am I waiting for? Like every day is a good time, so I might as well just get it now. Okay, and that is it for my book haul. I know it's not really huge, but I feel like this is a good amount to compile in its own video because I am still super happy with these finds. I'm especially super extra happy because a lot of these are used and they're in great condition, and it's great for my wallet and for me. So I just love it. I love supporting small local bookshops, and especially used bookstores. I just absolutely love it. I love like searching for them because I already love thrifting. I find it so much fun, so to be able to thrift for books is even better. And I am just happy I got to share this with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me know what new books you guys have recently gotten, because I love the excitement you have when you have a new book in your collection. And so yeah, I'm happy I got to share this with you guys. I really hope you guys are having a nice day, and I will see you guys on the next video.